Hello there guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to look at Laravel. We're going to look at Laravel 9. Laravel 9 is it was introduced this year, and it has not been much, that is, it has not been long since it was introduced. So we're going to look at the Laravel basics in this tutorial. Now I did a tutorial on Laravel 8, but this time now I'm doing Laravel 9 tutorial. So what is Laravel in short? Laravel is just a web application framework that uses the MVC, that is Model View Controller Design Pattern, and it provides an easy way to craft web apps without worrying about a lot of stuff involved in web development. So basically Laravel is just a framework, application framework that uses MVC. MVC we mean by it has the models. The models are the ones that enable us to connect with the database, and then we have the views. The views are the whereby we are able to see or to return a particular page. Any page that is rendered within an application, that is a view. And then the controllers are the ones that are used to control the particular views. And for example, if it is a blog, so blog can have controller, for example a post controller, which can control the post in terms of, for example, if it is a CRUD type of pattern, right? That is the create, read, update and delete. So controllers, they just control the web application, that is the views and many other stuff. So we're going to look at it as we continue. So the next concept is how to install Laravel. Yes, so how to install Laravel. So what we're going to look at here is that we're going to look at how to install Laravel through the composer. Now there are other ways of installing Laravel, so we are not going to look at that. It is easier to get started using the composer. So what you're going to do here, you're going to run this command. Now by running this command, you're able to create the Laravel. So here, this is just the name of the application. So you can give it whatever name you want, but just ensure you have this like this. That is if you are using the composer, and then Laravel 9. Now you may be asking, what is composer? Composer is a package. It's a package that you use that is embedded together with the PHP, that gives you the functionality of being able to use PHP within it. So here what you need to have is that you just need to go to composer.org, things composer.org, or so you just need to go to look for composer installation, and then you're able to see something here. So you can see this is the composer, so you can install it just like this. So yeah, so this is the composer. It's easy to install. You just need to download it and just follow the setup activities that they show you, but this is easier to use it, and it highly goes well with PHP. Now the next one you need to have is the XAMPP. So you can see I'm using XAMPP. You can also use WARM and any other control panel, but for my case I'm using XAMPP. So you can also go and look for XAMPP and install XAMPP. So let's just continue. So for you to use Laravel 9, you need to have a minimum version of PHP of 8.0. So that is the requirement for you to use Laravel 9. That's all. You need to have a PHP minimum version of 8.0. Now the next thing is the topics that we're going to cover. So we're going to cover these topics. Now you realize these are just the basic topics when you look at laravel.com. So let's go to Laravel. Okay. So now these are the topics that we're going to deal with. So let's just go to the documentation like this. So these are the topics you're going to deal with. These are just the basic topics, so I've covered most of them. The ones I've covered are the important topics that you need to get started with if you are new to Laravel, or if you want to revise. That is, you're already familiar with the Laravel, but you want to revise some of these some of these new features that are introduced in Laravel 9, which I highly recommend. Alright, so we're going to look at routing, middleware, CSRF protection, controllers, and what else? Request, responses, blade templates, and validation. So these are the topics we're going to look at. Now these topics are very important, and you need to have them under your belt for you to get started with Laravel, or for you to be able to use Laravel as a beginner. Alright, so let's continue. Alright, now let's continue. Now we are going to install the Laravel just from the particular Laravel installation slide I've shown you. So we're just going to run this command. So let me just copy it, and so now currently I'm in my htdocs, which is in the folder XAMPP. That is the local folder is F, then XAMPP, then htdocs. So within your once you install your XAMPP, you normally have this file folder, that is htdocs. So here is where you are recommended to install any PHP application that you are using. So by case, when you go, you'll find this is where this is the URL, for example. So it's the same as this one, you can see. So what you need to have is that ensure you do your projects within htdocs. That is, if you are still new to this stuff. So you can see most of my applications are within htdocs. So here is where we are going to install our Laravel app. So let me paste that command, and then I'm good to go. So now this is installation of Laravel 9, and it is easy to install. So now it will take some minutes. So let me come back when it is done. Alright, now this is done. Okay, so now we have installed our application. It has been installed in our folder. So what we need to do here is that let me run php artisan command, and let's see. So php artisan serve, let us see. Okay, so could not open file php artisan. Okay, oh sorry, now we need to open that file folder. I don't know why I'm forgetting this. So now this is our application. You can see these are the folders, and then within them we have particular files. So if you are new to Laravel, you can see, for example, the app has some particular files. We have HTTP, where we are going to make controllers. We also have middleware, so we are going to do provide authentication for application. We also have the models, whereby it deals with the data connectivity, the eloquent. So you're going to know about that as we continue. We also have resources, where we have views. For example, views are the ones that return the page that is able to render any particular page we want in our application. We also have the routes that are able to, that is, they provide the route features, like where to connect our application. For example, whichever page we are trying to access. So all these are done in the routes. So we also have what else? We also have storage. Storage works with, for example, images and so forth. For example, if we want to connect our images within our public, for example, from public to storage, and a lot of other steps that are involved. You also have the database, for example. So the database has, for example, the migrations. So here we are going to make particular migrations, whereby we are going to connect them with our backend, that is PHP XAMPP, that is PHP MyAdmin, that is a database that you're going to use. And then what else? We also have a lot of other stuff, seeders that are involved in the database seeding, and many other things that we are going to look at. Now let me go to my terminal within my XAMPP editor. So remember, you can use any editor of your choice. For mine, I'm just using the XAMPP. So sorry, I'm using the VS Code editor. So let me go to Git bash. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so now okay, let me run this command, php artisan serve. Alright, so now the application is ready to start. So I'm just running this command at port 800 within my XAMPP. So I'm able to access it at 127 like this. And let's see. So here is our application. So we have successfully installed our Laravel application. So now we can get started with Laravel 9. So this is Laravel 9 with the minimum PHP version of 8, as we have said. So let's just get started with the particular topics I just mentioned. So the first one we're going to look at is routing. So we're going to look at routing. So what is routing? Routing is basically how you are able to connect, or you're able to facilitate the connection of web pages in within your application. So let's just start with the basic Laravel route. Now you realize some of these features I've done them in Laravel 8, but I'm still going to repeat them in Laravel 9 because there are some new features we're also going to look at in Laravel 9. So the first one is you're going to look at is basic Laravel route. Now when I go to Control P here, I'm able to access the web.php. Now web.php is the particular page, is the particular file that provides us with the route features that are registered within our application. So here you can register any web routes that you want them to use. For example, the first one that is now being presented is the view, which is the welcome page. So here, for example, instead of having return view welcome, I can also return hello world, something like that. So you can have something like the question mark there, and let's close this one. So here we are accessing the route, which is the slash, and then we are returning this string hello world. So that means now this one will change to something different, right? So we can return a string just like that within our routes. You can also have something like an endpoint. For example, let me copy this one here, and then you can have something like route greeting. So greeting becomes an endpoint, and then now here we can still return the same thing. So that means here, if I go to, so instead of having the route that is, we can do something like greeting here, and we are able to still return the same thing, that is hello world. Alright guys, so you can also have something like remember we had the view, right? So you can also have, now that is the basic Laravel route. Let's look at a route with a controller. Now route with a controller means that instead of now just returning, for example, here we were returning, we are doing something like return view, and then we are returning the view welcome, right? So this is what we are doing. So that is when we access the, so here we are returning the view welcome. So that is if we go back, we're able to return the view, right? So here we are going to look at a route with a controller. So here we are going to look at first let's look at how we make a controller. So let me kill this server by pressing Ctrl C, and let me do something. So to create a controller in Laravel, this is how we do it. So PHP artisan make, that is make controller, and the controller we are going to make in our application, we are going to call it user controller, like that. So let us make the controller. So this controller has been created. Now controllers are normally created within should be the app, and then the HTTP, and then we access controllers, and then we have now the controller that we have created. Remember we said Laravel is a MVC framework which uses the model, the view, and the controller. Now this is the controller. So let's see how we work with controllers in Laravel. So here I'm going to have something like public function. So we are going to make a function, and then we are going, let me call it index, like this. And then within this function here, I'm going to return a view, and then this view I'll call it user, and then close like that. So we are returning a view user. That means now since I'm returning a view, and when you look at here, for example, return view welcome, you realize that within the resources where I showed you earlier at the start of this tutorial, we have views here. Views are, as I said, were the web pages that are rendered within your browser. So for example, this is the welcome page. Now all this code you are seeing here is the one that makes up this page that you are seeing here. So we are also going to create a view of our own by clicking that one, and then I call it user.blade.php, like that. Why? Because I'm saying within my controller return a view. So within views I need to make that particular view here. Alright, so now we are returning that view. Okay, so alright, so now since we already have the view, let's go back to the controllers here. Now since we are now looking at route with the controller, we are now going to make a particular route here. Now since we want to return this this user blade, for example, now here is where you can write your HTML code. For example, when I click and I do that sign, a question mark with enter, it gives us an emmet whereby we can start. It gives us a boilerplate code that we can start with. So here I can call it my Laravel app, like that. I just give it like a title only. Here we can have an H tag, and then here I can call something like iUser. Let me use, okay, so iUser, like that. So it's just, so this is what will be displayed. So now how can we display this page here? Now remember we have made the controller here return the view user. So let's go to web. Now when you go to laravel.com, here it gives us let's go to routing. So here it shows how you can do some of these things. I've already done them. Now you can see this is the way to make a route. For example, the user I've made here, and then we have the user controller class. So let me just copy this quickly since I don't have to type everything. So here I'm going to have something like that, and then so you can come to this page routing and read some of these things. They are easy to understand. And then this one we're going to import it here, like that. let me click. So here what we are doing, we are using the get to get this. So we are getting the user and then user controller class index, right? So this is what we are doing in this part. So we are accessing this controller here at index, since remember we made the index, and then we are rendering the view. So the view is now can be rendered. So let me find the PHP artisan. Let me run this command. So that means now if I go to this one, so I should go to /user, I'm able to access that particular page using. Now you can see here there's something we did. We used this and then we used this. Now we can also have it in this way. We can also do something like let me just paste this to save time. So we can also have it like this. You can see that is we get user same, but this time I'm accessing the app. Remember, this is the app, the HTTP, then the controllers, and then I'm accessing my controller at index. So instead of I myself having this one, which I don't know, to maybe look somehow long, and then we also have to import. So I have to import this one, and let me comment that one out. So that means it will still run very perfect well. So yes, so you can either use both. You can use this one or you can use this one. They still do the same thing. However, since we already started with this one, so let me just use this one. So the next thing is route with parameter. So route with parameter, how can we do it? Now route with parameter means that it basically means that we are going to give our routes a particular parameter like this. Let me just practically do it so that you can see. So here okay, so here I'm going to have public function, so here I'm having public function show, then I'm going to pass an ID, so I'm going to have something like that, and then okay, so here I'm having it that way. So I'm going to return user return user ID. Let me have it like that, and then so within it I'm going to have it like that, and then here I'm going to indicate the ID that I'm returning. So it could be an ID of a particular page like that, of a post if it is a blog. So I'm having public show ID, I'm passing the ID as a parameter, and then I'm returning user ID. So return the user ID, that is the return user ID, and then the ID here. So here within our routes, here I'm going to do something like this. So within our routes I'm going to have okay, so let me copy this one, since I would like to use this one. So we are going to /ID, that is the view, but here I want to access the ID of a particular user. So I'm going to pass the ID like that, and then here, since remember it is at show, so it should be at show, because we are calling the function at show, right? So this is how we do route with a parameter. So I'm just accessing the ID of the user. Here we should have it that way. So I'm accessing the ID of the user, and then the function here, and then I'm able to return. So let's just see this in action. So here let's try to access like user with the ID of 1, and let's see. So this is not found. Let's see. Alright guys, so I've realized here you need to have this. Sorry, I don't know why I'm in a rush, but this is what you need to have. So you need to have it like that, and then the comma that way. So it should be brackets, but not the other brackets, right? And then this one still remains the same. So I think now this should work. If I'm not, yes. So here it returns a user with ID of 1. So we can also return user with ID of 5, like that, and so forth. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is that you can use a route with a parameter. So you can have a function like this, pass a parameter such as an ID, and then with the routes, that is, now this is a route. So here you have seen something like maybe we have a post, and then we have the post ID. So we are returning a post ID, or for example we have a post here, and then probably we have something like slug of the post. So these are some of the ways we are able to pass maybe the post and then the slug. So you want the post to have slug and so forth. So this is how we are able to do it in Laravel. So probably I think I've done a blog. I don't know if I've done some of these things, but I can still do a blog application, a full blog application whereby I will illustrate all these things to you so that you're able to know them well. Now the other one is named routes. So some of this code I'll just copy, so I don't want this tutorial to be long, so that we can go fast. So what is a named route? So named routes, you can have something like this. Let me just copy this. So here you can have something like this. So I've just copied this one. Okay, it's something easy. So what we are doing here is that we are getting user, and then I've added user profile / profile, and then I've given the name here profile. This is a named route. In other words, now here I'm going to access user / the profile, since this is already a named route. So we can, by accessing the profile, we are still going to access the same thing. So for example, let me save this one and let me run this one. So here, if I access user / profile, it will still sorry, this is bringing the ID. Okay, let me take this one off. I think it doesn't need to be there. So user / profile, I think it should return, yes, so it should return the user blade, right? So it is returning this particular page. So what I've done here is that I've just named the route, and then I've named the route as profile. So I'm now accessing it as profile here, right? So this is how you are able to name your routes. You can check more on them, the named routes, yes. So you can see it's still the same thing. So you can have your name, and then you're able to access it the way I've just shown you, like this. So yeah, all right, so I think that's very easy to understand. So we checked route with controller. Okay, so we checked route with controller. So let us look at route with controller again. Let us look at route with controller. Now route with controller here, now this is a Laravel 9 new feature. So let me just maybe write it, Laravel 9 new feature. I don't know if I'll be writing them like this, but maybe just for your understanding, just to make you to understand better. Now now we have route controller, And for example, if you have if a group of routes utilize the same controller, you may use the controller method to define the common controller. For example, let's say for all the routes within the group, for example, you have routes within a group, you cannot define them. That is, the routes belong to a particular user group. For example, let's say user controller, you can define them, all of them, in one particular group function. Now I feel I should just copy paste this so that we don't have to do much typing. So this is what I mean. Now just look at this. You can see here it's something very simple, it's easy, there's nothing big that I've done here. Now when you look at this one, you can see here we have the route controller, user group, class, that is user controller class, and then the group function. Now when you look at these routes are the same as this one. For example, this route is the same as this one here. You can see that this one as well, where we had the user ID, that is the user ID, this route here, this is the same route as this one here. So, and then I've just added another one, like just to illustrate. You can have different that is, you can have different routes within that which share the same controller. So let me just comment this one. So this is what we refer to as route controller group within Laravel 9. Now this one you'll not find it in any other Laravel except Laravel 9. So this user controller is having these routes which belong to the same user controller. So instead of having to define them separately, so what you need to do is you just need to put them within one particular controller group. So let me do this. Let me comment this one as well, so we don't need that one to be alone, and as well this one. I think this one was getting the okay. So you can see we have saved a lot of routes which were just individual and just combined them. So now what you need to understand here is that if now, let me destroy that server. Now if I run this command, php artisan route list, let's see something here. Now there's something you need to take note of. Even the route list in Laravel 9 has been changed. You can see this is now the elegant feature that has been introduced. So it is different from the other ones. The other ones, they were in a table like. So you can see here what I'm trying to show you is that when you inspect these routes, you can see here we have controller at store, which is this one. So this one is doing nothing. So far there's nothing it's doing. I've just added it like that. So don't worry about it, it's not doing anything. And then we have the user ID like that, user controller at show. You can see this is the one returning any user ID. And then we have the user profile, which is at user controller index, which is this one. Remember, we also defined it as this way. Remember, user controller at index. So this is the same thing. So this is how you're able to inspect routes, and this is the elegant feature that has been introduced in Laravel 9. Alright, so I hope you have got a little bit of a new feature there that we can work with, and it highly saves time instead of having to put all the routes in one particular place. Okay, so now so that is out of the way. So now you realize that if I run the same that is, if I try to run my application, I'm still able to access the web page as normal, and there's nothing that has changed, right? So these are Laravel 9 new feature. Now let's continue. I think we are done with that. So we are done with the routes. So we have looked at route with the parameter, route with the controller, as well as controller groups, and then the basic routes, and there's also the named routes. So just go and practice them. You can read the documentation here, and you will be able to get some of these things in detailed form. Let's look at middleware in Laravel. So let's look at middleware in Laravel. So now, what is middleware? Middleware is they provide a convenient mechanism for inspecting and filtering HTTP requests that are entering in your application. So middleware provide a way for a user to be authenticated in your application. So for example, if you want to authenticate certain users to access certain particular page, other users to accept another to access another particular page, if you want to enable them to be authenticated, then middleware is the way to go. So let's look at the first one, is authenticating particular routes. Now in middleware, we have three types of middleware. We have the global level middleware, the group, and the route level. So let's just look at this. So we have middleware. Okay, you can also access it here. So this is where we have this is where you have middleware. For example, we have one here is authenticate.php. This one is the one that will authenticate you as you get, that is the login page that is presented, and many other middleware. So this is where we are able to find middleware. It is within the app HTTP and then middleware. So now what we are going to do here, we are going to create a custom middleware that we are going to use in our application. For example, I'm going to make a middleware that enables one to give a valid token for him to be allowed to access a particular page. So you can define this one as a route level type of middleware. Route level type of middleware is the one that you're able to protect a particular route. For example, if someone is trying to access user.profile, you will be presented with a particular authentication page or a particular authentication parameter before he's allowed to access this particular page. So let's do something here. So I'm going to use the one illustrated in Laravel documentation, although it's not complete, but I'm going to try and make it work. So let's use this one. So we are going to ensure that someone accessing a route, accessing any of our route, is allowed to access that particular page. So let me just destroy that one. So this is how we make middleware. Artisan make middleware, ensure token is valid. So let me just run that. So we have created it. You can check within our middleware here. We have our custom middleware created. Very nice. Now once you create a middleware, you need to register it. So you need to register. So to register any middleware, you need to go to kernel. This is where you need to go to, and then you need to register it. Now we are going to register it under protected route. Remember, we have said we have three types of middleware. We have the protected middleware, we have that is the middleware groups, and then the route. So if you want to protect a particular route, this is where you come to register the middleware. Okay. So if you have any question, you can ask below you can post it. So let me just copy and paste that one. Now here I'm going to, let me come back here and copy this one. So this is the one I need. So here I'm going to have it like this. So copy paste like that, and then this one, authenticate, your token is valid. After middleware, okay, this is so we are having the ensure token is valid like that. Yeah, and we are good to go. So I don't think there's anything else we need. so that middleware is registered now within our kernel. So let me not close it, just in case of anything we'll come and have it taken care of. Now since we want to ensure we protect a route, so we need to give a logic here, and the logic is normally given within the public function undo. So what we are going to do here, we are going to give it something like okay guys, let me just copy this code just to save time. Okay guys, now what we are doing here, it's very easy. So what we are doing here is that we are requesting input token, the input token. So we are using the request. We are going to look at request in the next segment. So here we are requesting the input has to be token, and then if it's not equal to my secret token, we are going to redirect them to a user blade template, which I'm going to make it right now, no access. And then if he gives the right token, then it's going to be taken to the next request. So it's very simple. So request input, if it's not equal to my secret token, here you can give it any other parameter, but I'm just giving it for your understanding. Then redirect to no access, and then return okay, if it's allowed, then return the next request, something like that. It's very easy to understand. So now here we are going to return redirect no access. So that means we are going to make a view here, and this view I'm going to name it no access .blade.php. That means the no access is correct. Okay, so no access is a blade. So that's, so here we will have let me use that ms. So here we'll have something like h1 tag, then h1 like this, and then I'm going to have something like you are not authorized. Okay, I think the spelling is good. Okay, so you are not authorized. So here you can change it to something like middleware, just to bring the meaning. Okay, so this if the logic doesn't work, that is if the token given is not equal to this one, so this is the page that you'll be redirected to. So this is the page, and remember we have given that page, where is it? This is the page. Yeah, so I think we are good to go with that. Okay, so within our we need to register the route because we have created another view. Now since this one, you can see here okay, now there's the page. If it gives the correct page here, and let's go back. If it gives the correct page here, it should be redirected to a particular page here. Now as you can see here, there's something. Okay, you are not authorized. This is the page here, and then now we need to register the route here. So we need to have something like this is the page he's trying to access, right? So we are, in other words, remember we said we are protecting a particular route. So this is the route we want to protect here. So this is the route we want to protect. So what will happen here is that I'm going to protect this particular route. So I'm going to give it something like this. So it's going to have, so we are going to have middleware like that, and then it's going to have the ensure the token valid class. So remember this is the where we created our logic, so we need to use it like that. So token valid class, and then we have ended it with our comma like that. So here we are given the middleware, and then yeah, so this is the route we are protecting. So whenever it tries to access this route, something will have to be required. So let's do this. So let me run the artisan serve command. Okay, so let's try to access this page. So he hasn't given any particular. Okay, so not found, so there has to be something not correct here. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we did not create the no access page, the one that it should be redirected to. So we need to have it there. So we need to have no access, and then here we need to have our page here, no access. Now the reason I'm registering it within the user controller is because they all belong to the same controller. So remember, these are Laravel 9 feature, so like that. So let's see if it's able to return again the correct. Okay, so this, now you can see now there's something that is good. Now you can see here there's something. You also need to know that the error page for Laravel 9 is this one, and it looks very nice with these colored features. So this is what we are presented if you have not used the Laravel 9 so far. So here no access does not exist. So let me check it again. No access. Hope this is correct. Alright guys, so what I inspected my route list here, and I found it's connected with user controller, but I forgot to create the public function. We should have a public function within our user controller. So let me just do that. So here we need to have something like which will enable us to return the view, just like we have done with the other one. So here we should have something like no access, and then here we should return the view, which should be no access, and then here we can close with that. Okay, so I think this should work. Here no parameter, should not have that. Okay, so let's see if this page can be found now. So it still doesn't exist. Okay. So guys, there was a spelling mistake. So just a spelling mistake, but should be no access, and like that, and then like this. So once we access the page, this is what we are redirected to. So if I try to access user.profile, which is protected route, you are redirected to this page. Okay, so now how should we be able to access the page? Now the way you can access the page should be this way. Okay, you go back to the page itself, and then slash the profile, and then slash the profile. We'll have, yes, so this is already done. So we'll have slash profile with question mark, and then here, which equal to my secret token. Remember, the secret token is the one that should be equal. So if it's equal to this one, you can be redirected to this particular page, which is I user. So take note of this: the question mark, the token, then equal to my secret token. Otherwise, if you don't give this one like that, you are redirected to no access page. I think that's easy to understand. There's nothing hard there. So you can, now we also have the route global. For example, global means that whenever anyone tries to access any page within your application, he is redirected maybe to a login page, or maybe to another logic that you have given, like this one, right? So we'll look at middleware, for example, middleware auth, as we continue, and also in other tutorials. All right, so let's go to CSRF protection, which should be our third concept here. So I'm taking you step by step for you to understand Laravel in the right way. So subscribe to this channel if you haven't. Share this video with your friends, and that will be awesome. So what is CSRF token? CSRF token is it stands for cross-site request forgery, whereby unauthorized commands are performed on behalf of an authenticated user. So what happens here is that the malicious user only needs to lure unsuspecting user of your application to visit their website, and their email address will be changed in your application. So you find that whenever someone is trying to access application like this, and it has the CSRF is not enabled, what will happen is that this malicious user will lure this particular client or the user who has visited your application. Instead of him going to your application, okay, this one happens when you are, for example, filling a form like that. So instead of filling the form in the right web application, he lures you into another web application of his, whereby you fill in your credentials, but you fill in the wrong particular web application, and therefore is able to steal information that is able to steal the end user information. So in Laravel has offered a way to protect this by enabling CSRF in your forms. So for example, what happens here is that in Laravel here you can expect, like, you can have, for example, here Laravel has already a feature called verify. Yes, this is the one within, I think it's still within your middleware. So that is verify CSRF token. So this page does that. Whenever you enable CSRF token, it is ran, that is, a token will be generated, and this token is used to verify that the authenticated user is the person making the request. Right? So there's a token that is generated within Laravel and as well in your web application. So if they match, you are good to go. All right? So let's create one and see. So let's create one and see. Alright, so what we're going to do here is that here in user blade I've copied the form. So this is just a simple form that returns basically it just returns the user, that is just a form for password, for username and password. So what happens here, CSRF is mostly enabled in forms. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to have something like at CSRF like that. CSRF is correct, and then I save that page. And then since this is an illustration, whenever you are making it in a live application, you don't need to do much. That is, once you enable this one, Laravel will automatically generate a token in the backend and do all that other stuff. So here is just for learning purposes. So here we enable it like that, and then within our route here, so within our routes here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to illustrate how CSRF works within. So here I'm going to create another route here. So I'm going to create another route here. Now this route is going to post. So this one will, since we are we are posting our content, because whenever someone enters his username or password, it needs to be taken somewhere. So that is post. And then here, since we are accessing the user profile, so we need to still access the user profile. Remember, we are registering under the same controller. So this is a Laravel 9 new feature. Hope you have not forgotten. So here we enable post, because we are doing a post. That means I have to go to create a public function in our user controller. Let me take some of these. These ones we are not using them. Okay, so here I'm going to create another controller. This controller is going to be post, as we have just given out there. So post, and then now what we are going to do here, we are going to pass a request, since we want to get a request for those credentials that are posted in. So we're going to have request, and then at request like that, and then here we are going to return the input of the request. So here we are going to have something like request the input like this. Okay, so this like that. So we are requesting the input like that. What could be the issue here? Okay, so sorry, this should not be, it should be just that way. Okay, so let me take that one out. This one is done. So that is what we are having there. So we are going to get the user that is posted. That is once the thing gets posted. Now this one, middleware. Okay, so for learning purposes, let me just comment that one, and let me do this. Let me copy this one, some part of it that is like this, and let me, sorry, I think it should be the one to start. Okay, let me put it like that. So this one, since I don't want us to keep on doing the middleware authentication, let me page. So okay, so we return this page, and then we request the user in, that is from our form. Remember, we have enabled the CSRF like that. So let's check. So here we have that. Okay, so now this is okay. So let me have something like Brian, and then the password will be my password. Okay, so now you can see, so a token will be generated. A token will be generated like this, and then the username, and then the password is a password, the one I've just given. Then the input type is submit. So this token will be matched with another token that is generated in the verify CSRF token. So the verify CSRF token will verify if this token is the one matching, and then it will your form is submitted to the right place. So this is how Laravel is able to protect your applications. So the next one is controllers. So let's just look at controllers. So what are controllers? So controllers by default, they are stored in the, I think I already shown you, in the app HTTP controllers. So far we only have one controller here, which is the user controller. Remember, I've shown you how to create a controller by using the php artisan command. You can have it, you can check it in the previous tutorial. So you can have a controller dedicated for a specific page. For example, now here, remember we have created a controller that deals with all this, and then within the web.php, this controller has all this, right? So for example, if I add another controller, which is a post controller, it will be now handling maybe posts and all that. So it means I will also make another group function controller, which will handle any anything that is related with the post in the post controller. Okay, so here I want us to look at only two things: the resource controllers and controller middleware. Now, what is a resource controller? So to create a resource controller, let me see. So you know it by action. So let me just do it, and then you know. So php artisan. So this is the command. php artisan. Sorry, let me. Okay, php artisan controller. This is the same command we used earlier. So php artisan controller. Make, yes, php artisan controller, php artisan make controller, sorry, php artisan make controller. And then now, for example, I'm going to make another different controller, which is post controller, since I've been mentioning it very much. So post controller, okay, I hope this is correct. And then we are going to have resource. So we are going to indicate is a resource controller. So php artisan make controller post controller, and then I click enter. So now this is going to make another controller within the same directory. So now this is what we refer to as source controller. A source controller is a controller that will contain a method for each of the available resource operation. For example, we can have index for displaying maybe the page for all the posts. We're going to look at this in the later part of it, of this tutorial. We also have create controller. We also have store, to store in the database, and then the show. We already dealt show with in this, so it functions similar. Edit, we edit our post, and then we update our post, and then we also are able to delete post. So this is what we refer to as resource controller. Resource controller generally gives you what we refer to as the CRUD, the create, delete, update, and so forth. Yeah, and destroy. So this is what we refer to as resource controller. So I think we are done with that. So once you make a resource controller, so the next thing is to register it, right? And here, since already have this command should be here, resource controller. So for example, you can have something like this. So to register it, it's very simple. So you just need to have that command, and then these are different controllers, so it doesn't have to be on the same. Sorry, it's not this one. Should be, yes, should be this one. So this is going to be the one, since not a photo controller, since we have made post controller, and then here let's say it's a post controller, so it's going to have post like that. And then since I'm using this version, Remember we have said we have two versions, whereby if you give it that way, you have to register the particular where you are obtaining the controller. So you need to use that one, and then you are good to go. So that means that now when you inspect that is when you go to the route list here in Laravel 9, this is what happens. Now you can see here we have the create, we have the post with the post being passed as the parameter. So here we have the store, create, show, update, destroy. So all of this particular route covers all this CRUD functionality. So this is what I'm referring to. So up to somewhere there, with also post index, so up to there. So you can see this is what I'm talking about. So this covers, this resource will cover all this. Now you can also have something like you can have many resource controllers at once in an array of resources. Like for example, let's say now we have this is post controller. Now let's say we also have another controller such as resource controller, pages controller. So this controller is controlling the pages. So for example, if I come here, let's say instead of having post, I can also have something like sorry, this is okay. Let me. So this is another controller. So this is just an example. So now this is pages controller. So that means it will still have the same thing, but now this is another different controller which is controlling the pages, for example. So here we can have different functions and so forth. So what happens here is that you can have within Laravel here, they describe it here very well. You can have resources with the different particular example. Photos will stand for photo controller, post will stand for post controller. So if I copy this one like this, so that means here I can have something like this. That means I can have something like this. So that means here I can have pages, which stands for the pages under the pages controller. So I can have something like this. So that means that this will run for the pages controller and this for post controller. Remember also here you may also need to register this post here, register this controller here. So this will have the pages controller like that. So and we are good to go as well. So that means now we do not need this one. That means now we do not need this one, since it's already, I have different resources, so I can register them. So it functions just like the route controller, whereby you can register different routes for the same controller. So I think that's also easy to understand. So let's check the controller middleware. So the controller middleware is you can have controller middleware. You can have something like this. For example, you can see now this is the route for index, which returns the I user. Now remember we have looked at middleware, and the one we looked at was the custom middleware. Now we can have a middleware which is for authenticating any user before he enters into any web page. Now this one is provided by Laravel as well. You can also make it custom as well. That is, Laravel provides you with authentication features. For example, if using a package like JStream, you can install JStream, and JStream will provide you with authentication features for your application. So since the Laravel default, once you install it, doesn't have the authentication as it used to have in the earlier versions like 6, 7. So this one you have to install or enable, that is to install a login and registration feature separately. So here what I'm just going to show you is how you can use controller middleware to control particular, maybe let's say route. So maybe this, now in this route maybe I want it to be authenticated. So here I will have something like this, and then here I will have it like this one, like this. Now here it should be under quotes, should be under quotes, and then okay, so that means now here we have the middleware, and then the auth. So this is the auth. So that means if I try to access this page, let's access it. Okay, now if I try to access this page, there should be something happening. Okay, so now route login is not defined. Why is it not defined? Because we do not have any package or any particular authentication feature that we have installed in Laravel. But if it was there, it will redirect you to that particular routing login blade, for example, whereby you have to fill your name, your password, and any other credential. So since it's not there, that's why it is just returning. But you need to know it is working, and what you need to have, you need to install a package like JStrip, and you'll be able to see some of these features being implemented like so. I've also done a tutorial on Laravel JStrip authentication. I think it's a 7 or 10 minute video. You can check that out and see how you can install JStrip in your application. Okay, so I think we are done with that. You can also have something different. You can also have something that is to apply. You can also to apply the middleware in all your routes within your controller. You need to create a constructor and place it in your controller. For example, now this one, I'm only doing it for this particular route. It means if I try to access another route like this one, it will not have the login, or it will not have the authentication feature. So what happens here is that let me do something here. So what happens is that in the user controller, since all of them they are in the user controller, so within the user controller here, I'm going to have something like this. Now this one is okay, let me just, so what is happening here is that I'm making a constructor, and then this constructor, I'm defining the middleware authentication, and this is going to be applied in all the, I think we should only have one here. This is going to be applied in all these particular routes we are seeing here that we are returning, all these views. So what happens here is that I do not need to have now this one here, since it was only meant for that route. So now when I try to access any page, you can see now, for example, let's try to access the no access page. Let's see. You see, so we are redirected to the routing page, which should be enabled. So that is it, which if I add the JStrip, I'll be taken to the login and registration page. So all these routes now are protected within the login. So you need to enable that. So once you enable it here, that is once you enable this one here, then you will be required to be authenticated for you to access any particular page. So I think we are done with that one. And if you have any question, post them in the comment section below and I will check them out. Alright, so now let's look at request. So request. So we have used request already in our application. That is where we used this one. Where is it? This one. So we already used request, whereby we were trying to get the CSRF. So what is request? So requests are, for example, you are requesting something from your application. For example, if someone fills a form, the name and the password, you may request their names, their password, and so forth. So let's look at this in practical. So what we need to have is that we need to have this function controller. Sorry, the post function, and then request. We are requesting the input, and okay. So this one is good to go. So what we may have here, for example, is that whenever somebody tries to, he has filled the name, he has filled the password, we can have something like this. Let me take this one out. So we can have something like okay, this one is when we put request input, is only requesting the input that is already submitted within our form. Let me remove this middleware, since it's going to give us some issues if, okay, so let me comment it. So you can have a check on it later and see if you can install the JStream, and then see if it's going to work with the JStream. There's something here. Okay. Okay, so this needs to go a bit down, and then all right. So what we're doing here, we are requesting the input. So this one returns all the input. For example, when you go to, let's go to the profile. So when we fill any detail here, somebody filled Brian and then the password. Now you realize that we are generating the token, which is good. But let me remove the CSRF for now, since we already checked on this one, so it's not required now. So here we are getting something. I think that, okay. Okay, I think because we have had many requests, so the page now is expired. Or this should be something not correct. Okay. Okay. So the illustration here is that what I need us to do is that I need us to query some data, particular values from our requests. So so here we are getting the request input. Now we can also have something like request all, right? So here we can have request all. So I'm requesting all the input that is submitted within our form. So here, let me see. So this one should work. Don't know why it's giving. It means we may still need to use the. Okay, so let me try to use the at CSRF. So that means here I'm going to use this. Okay, this should be. Let me try to submit again. Okay, so I think still needs the token there to be used, but you can see here I'm requesting the all the details, the username, that is the Brian, and the password, which is password. Now for example, let's say I want to request only the name, for example. So here, for example, I can have requests instead of all. I can have input, and then here I'm requesting the username. So here I can have, sorry, the username. Okay, so username like that. So that means now here it should only return for us the username. So what I'm trying to do here, we can query any particular value from our form, and this is what we are doing. So here I can have something like continue like that, and then you can see it only returns the name Brian like that. As well, I can also do for the password. So the password, it will also return the password that I've implemented in my application, which is still password. So that is what happens with the requests. So we can check more on them as we continue. So on request, but that is the basic fundamental of request in Laravel. So let us look at responses. Now responses are all routes and controllers should return a response to be sent back to the user's browser. And at the start of the tutorial we looked at for example, how to return, for example, when you access the greeting endpoint. Example here, I can access the greeting, I think it's this one. So when you access the greeting here, it is returning a hello world. So that is the most basic return of a string from a route. So that is already a response. Now we can also have response array in Laravel. So for example, you can have something like in your user controller here. So in public, here we are returning view user, but I can do something like comment this one out. So I can do something like sorry, this should not, okay, let's just, okay, return, and then for example here I'm having, can just return an array, for example. So I'm just returning an array of particular elements within the index. So that means now this should be, that is now when I access the user controller, that is user profile, should return an array. So you can also return an array in a response like so. So we also have return direct, and that is return redirect, right? So return redirect also works in it is simply redirecting a user to another URL. For example, when you look at the greeting, that is the greeting endpoint here, we are returning hello world. Now if we access the greeting endpoint, and probably we don't want to return the hello world, we want it to be redirected to another page, we can have something like return redirect, and then here we can also, we can have the user slash profile like this, and then there we just have, so that means that this one you can just comment. Okay, this is okay, let me just do this, don't save. So okay, so we have something like that. then let me click. Okay, so it means when I access this just like this, that means I access the greeting like that, I'll be redirected to this particular user slash profile. So that is what we refer to as redirecting. Now we can also have return redirect back with input. So that means that for example, here in the controller we have that is the post, the part of the post here, return request input. For example, we had password and so forth. So this one I can take this one out, and then what I can do here is that, for example, I can have something like return. So I can have return back, and then it's a method, so I can say return with input like that. Alright, so this is with input, and then this one should be like that. So that means I return back with input. So when I take this one out, so here I've said with input, sorry, so that should be with input, and then the input is on capital. So return back with input. Now what does this mean? This means that whenever I fill the credentials in the form, it should return back with, or it should return the input that I've given. Now there's something that I will explain to you here. So here we had the form, but we are no longer. So let me return this one to this one, the return the view. Alright, so when we access this particular page here, okay, so here I will have my username, and then I click submit. Now when I click submit, it returns me back to the same page. So it is returning me back with the same input. So what does this mean? What the method does, it redirects us back with the same input instead of submitting the data. So what it does here, it will validate the request, and if the data is submitted is invalid, from it will redirect us back. So basically it is just validates the request here, and then once the request is validated, if it has any invalid format, then the form will not be submitted. So this method is highly used to validate any request within your Laravel forms. We also have redirecting to named routes. Basically this is what I'm just showing you. This is what I'm teaching you. So you can see, for example, here in the responses we have we have redirects like this one. We have checked back with the input. We have checked this one as well. You can also have the route, redirect route. We are also going to check at that. And then what else do we have here? Redirecting with back with input. We have checked that one. So we also have redirect to directing with the named route. Yes, this one. So let me just show you this one. So here what you may have, for example, now named routes that they are highly usable, and I've seen myself using them in my applications. So what happens here is that you'll have something like you'll have, for example, let's go to the greeting. So the greeting will have return redirect, and then here we can have something like let's say, for example, we already checked this one, so let me just copy it. So we have this, and then here I copy and paste that one. Now here I'm saying return redirect, then the route. So the route stands for which route do you want to access the named route. For example, let's say here within my user profile, what I can do here is that I can give it, for example, a particular, I can name it to have this. Let's say I do something like my profile. So my profile here, that means that now this becomes a named route, right? This one should have a name, sorry. So this should be name, like that. So now this one becomes a named route, and since it's a named route, what happens is that now I can access this one as my profile here. So I can have my profile like that. So what does this mean? Now this means when I access this, I will be redirected to this particular route here, which is this one now. So let's see this in action. That means if I access the greeting here like this, route login not defined, okay. So okay, and not save this one. Group function. So guys, there was just an error here of just a letter here, so I think you're good to go. So what I've said, you need to have a route get user profile index, and then you give the name, and then here we have just indicated this is a named route. So once you access this the greeting, you should be redirected back to user profile. So what happens here is that okay, let's do it again. So you access the greeting endpoint, and then you'll be redirected back to, because you have named this O route to be my profile, so you are redirected to this route again. So that's how named routes work in Laravel. Now another one is redirecting with the flashed session data. So that one can also be there. So you can have something like this. Can have something like, so you can have something like for example here you can have return redirect user profile with status welcome to Laravel. So what we are doing here is that whenever somebody accesses this page, this is the message that will be displayed. So here in userblade.php we can have it somewhere, let's say somewhere I user and then welcome to Laravel. Yes, so you can have this one. Sorry, should be having this code here. So you can have it like this. So this is how it should be. So you'll have it this way. So this is what this one does, is that session that what it checks is checks the status, and then it alerts with success that the person that is the flash message is successful. So when I save this one, and then let's try to remember we had given this one as the okay redirect. Okay, so when we try to access this page, let's try to access it. Okay, so let's do this redirect user profile with this. So let me do this. Let me remove this, or let me take out this one for now. Let's just have our page again. Okay, so don't know what's happening here. So we should be redirected to this page. with a particular status message. So guys, it's working. So hi user, welcome to Laravel. So the flash message is being displayed. So okay, so this is it. So this is the route, and once you access the greeting, so what is happening here, you access the greeting like this. So this is what you are doing here. So you're accessing the greeting, and then you are redirected back to the same page, to user slash profile with welcome to Laravel. So that's how it works. So you just need to enable it with this. Okay, you can enable it on the route level, or you can also do it on the controller. For example, where you have something like the store. So when maybe you create a post, and then the post is submitted to the database, and then there's a flash data that shows you it's successful, and the credential, that is the data has been submitted to the database and it's successful. So we shall look at that, or you can check some of my tutorials on my YouTube channel list, and then you see there are other tutorials I've done on Laravel as well, which utilize such a similar concept. Now let's look at the last two concepts, the blade templates. So the blade templates are they can use PHP, plain PHP code, or they can be compiled into PHP code and cached until they are modified. So you can access the blade templates in the, that is okay, in views. This is where we make the templates here. So under the views, this is where we make the blade templates. Now I've already made this particular blade template, so I want us to continue with this one since it's already made. So let's go to resources, views, and then layouts. That is views, and then I want us to make a folder here called so I want us to make a folder here, and then let's call it layouts .led.php. Sorry, what's happening here? Sorry, this should be the folder. So like that, and then within the folder is where we are going to make a blade app.blade.php. So like that. So we have this under the layouts, and then blade.php. Now here I'm going to generate it with some HTML code. Now this HTML code here is going to do something. Under the body here, we are going to have something like this. We are going to have something like at include so we are going to have include dot navbar like this. So we are going to make a navbar as we continue, and then here I'm going to have a div class, and this I'll call it, that is div class container, and let me close that one. And then here I'm going to have at yield. So here we are going to yield the content. So you are going to understand this as we continue. And then okay, so and then now I can close the div. Okay, so like that. Yeah, so you're going to have something like this. Now this, what I'm trying to do here is that I'm making an app blade that is going to be an extent of my user blade. In other words, all the blades that I'm going to make they will utilize the applet, whereby I don't have to repeat, for example, the doc HTML, the body, like so. That is in this one. So you're going to do some changes on this one, and then you are going to understand. Now, since you can see the includes.navbar, you may be wondering. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to make, within the views here, I'm going to make another folder and call it include. And then within this one, I'm going to make the navbar. So the navbar here dot led.php, like that. And then here I'm going to paste a particular navbar made in Bootstrap. So let me just do that. So now what happens here is that I've copied the navbar, some code for creating a navbar that is in Bootstrap. So you can go and just get a free navbar and have it, but what I want you to do is just to understand what I'm doing. So I have a navbar here, and then what I've done here in app.blade.php, I've just imported a CDN of Bootstrap 4.5, and so this one is going to give us the Bootstrap classes and so forth. So this one I can save this one, and as well save this one. Now what I want to do here is, since now we have this applet, so this applet is we can say it is a core base, that is a core, it's a base for all the other blades that I'm using. For example, let me do something so that you may understand. So the first thing I'm going to do here is that, first of all, I'm going to take this one out like that, and even this one, the body and HTML. So why am I doing so? Because they are already presented here. You can see here we have body. Here, for example, here we should have I think there should have close body, like that. So so this one is the one that I'm going to extend from. So I can have something like so within here I can have something that extends layouts dot app, like that. And then this one, the status message is there. Okay, so this one, let me take out that one from there, let me bring it somewhere here, like that. So I'm extending the layouts up, this one, and then now when it reaches to this particular place here, I'm going to have something that we call section content. Section content will stand for where the content is starting from. So I can have something like this. So this is how you structure your blade templates. And then here, this is going to be the content, and then here I'm going to have at end section, like that. So we are going to have it in this way. Sorry, this should be end if, okay, that way. So let me save it. Now you can see I'm extending the layouts, that is the app blade, which has this particular HTML code, and then what else, and then I'm giving this section content. So this section content is this one here, that is at healed, right, at healed. And then on top of it, there's going to be a navbar that is going to be displayed at the top. So let's see this. So that means if I access the page again, there's going to be some changes. So the navbar, and then now the content is still remains as it were. So that is it. Yeah. So let's continue. So that's how you structure your blade templates. Okay. So now we can We can do other many interesting stuff on the blade templates, such as this. So for example, within the blade templates we can display data. So we can display data, so we can have something like let me just give this one like this. So display data. So okay, so display data, we can have something like hello, and then hello and then name, for example. So here we have name like this, and then can give it there a full stop. So I'm saying hello at name, and then when I go to my user controller here, I can have something like that is within the index here. I can have something like return, okay, return view the user, and then can have something like name, like this, and then Marvin. So the name that I want to return, let's say it's my name, Brian, and then okay, let me just end it there. So okay, so this is what I'm having. So I'm returning a view, this one, and then should be that way, and then the user, and then the name that I want to display within the user here. So that should be Brian. I think this is easy for you to understand. It's nothing hard here. So that when I run this one again, it should show hello Brian. So this is how you display data in blade template example. So let me copy just another one here, so to save time. So you can also have something like so another one you can have is get data from the database. So here what I'm having is I'm having the 4 L's, which is if you have studied PHP, you highly know 4 L's and for each. So users as user. So I'm looping over the users table, and I'm requesting for the name and the email. If they are not there, it returns empty, no users, and 4 L's. So what will happen when I save here? I think there will not be users because my database is still new. So something should be displayed. Okay, let's go to the user controller. So within the user controller, here we are returning, remember we are returning name. So what I can do here is I will have something like this, that is I'll have this variable, and then I'll request if there is any user in the database, so it should request and display the users. So return view user, and then you can also return the name. Or let me just take this one out, since you already understand it. Okay, so return view user. So what is user? This one is a model, so it's going to check within the, you can see here there's a folder called models. Now this folder is the one that loops within our database here. For example, you can see in the protected file fillable, there's a name, email, and password, right? So when you run the migration, they should be registered within the users table. So let me save this one. So let's try to run this again. Okay, so the user is not found. So what we need to do here is that we need to import that class here. So I should be having something like use use app. I don't know which sign is this one. Okay, so use app and then the models and then slash the user. So this one, what we are doing, we are accessing the user model, which is found within the app models and user, like that. So that's why it's not finding the class there and so forth. So a non-user database. So we also need to run the migration. So within here, let me access my database and let me run these migrations. So as you can see here, I've renamed my database as Laravel 9 app. So I'll just create that database like that, and then here in my, let me access my .env file. So this file is the one that presents you with some of the configurations that you make in your app. Like for example, this is the name of the app, and then some other particular environment or values that you're able to put. So basically here, what you need to do here is that you need to give that database like that, and then let me destroy the server. So the next thing you need to do, so here I'll run the PHP artisan migrate. So to migrate any particular, so far we only have the users table and some other table like password and so forth. So here I can run PHP artisan serve command like so. So let's see if this error has been solved. Okay, I defined variable name. So remember we had removed that code. So what I can do here, so I'll put it again. So once I give you this in GitHub, so let me just remove it for now, and let's utilize, let's see. Okay, and define the variable users. Okay, so where is it? No. Okay, I see the issue. So what you need to have here now within the controllers, so what you can do here, you can have something like return view user. Since it's bringing that, we need to have something like compact users, so that the error will go. Okay, so there are no users within our database, since there is just an empty database, that is just an empty user. So there are no users within our database. So right guys, so let's check other things that we can do with our blade. For example, we can also do something like this. So we can also check if user is authenticated or not. So some of this code is in your documentation. So what you can do, you can check if user is authenticated or not. So for example, this one checks if it's authenticated, or this one checks if it's not authenticated. So when I save this one, we can also have we can also check if the person is authenticated. So the user is not authenticated since we have not installed any package so far. So you can also check if, you can also use if statements within your blade. For example, you can have for example, I'm having just this particular simple code which checks how many users do you have in the database. So it counts using the count keyword. So we can check within the users variable, and that is within the database, how many users do you have, if you have one user or multiple, or you don't have any users. like that. It's just a simple concept to check how many users do you have in your database. So when I save this one here and I check again, you can see I don't have any users so far, because as we have said, we do not have users. So this one just checks within the database the number of users you have. So you can do many other stuff in Blade templates. So what I want you to do is that just come here to their documentation here and just check within the Blade templates, and you'll find that most of the things we have discussed, they are already here. And just explore, try to see what happens within the database, that is within the Blade templates and so forth. You can check their documentation. So the last thing I want us to look at is validation. So what is validation, and how can we use it in our Laravel? So as you can see within their documentation here, you can check it out. So here we have validation here. Now validation is a very important concept. If you are a Laravel developer, you need to know how to validate stuffs within the Laravel environment. So what I want us to do, I want us to create a mini blog or something, or just a table that displays number of posts within, just like the way you would see in a particular blog website. So so make a post.blade. So within your views, so we said in the views is where you make your blade. So here I'm going to make blade.php like that. Okay, so and then so once this is done, I want you to, so we are going to give it a code, this one. So what is happening here, I'm having a post.play.php, and what I'm having, I'm using the extend layouts app, the one I created here. I already explained that. And then we also have the section content. So the section content stands for this particular part up to where, up to here. And then I'm having this this is a flash message. I think I've already talked about this one. So this one appears once you create a particular post. And then we have the title, we have the ID, title and body. Then we have the for each, which loops within our post table, and then it represents us with the ID, title and body of our post. And then I'm using the end for each and so forth. So this is what we are making. So that is the post.blade. And then the next thing I want us to make is I want us to make a create.blade.php, which is going to create our post. So here we are going to have where the place. So what I want us to do here, I want us to make a folder like this, and then within this folder here we'll have the create.blade.php like that, and then we are going to have this code. So now so within the create.blade.php I'm still using the extend layouts.app. Okay, this is the one, and then the section content as we have described, which just yields, so whereby within the app.blade, this is where the content is normally held. And then what else do we have? And then we are just okay. Now we also have a form which we are able to open, and then we are routing the forms to post.store. So this is a route we are going to create, and then we are checking the title of the form gives you the place where you can place the title, and then the body of the post like so, and then we are good to go. Now here I'm using a Laravel collective form, as you can see with this exclamation marks. So what I need to do here is that here I need to install a Laravel collective form by running this command here. So this command will install the Laravel collective HTML form that we're able to use within our application here. So this one is just going to take a minute. So this one has been successfully installed. So we have installed our Laravel collective form, which will enable us to present this particular form that I've just made in this. Now, since I've showed you when the form is opened, it routes to post.store. So here, remember at the start of the tutorial, we created the post controller here. Remember, it's when I showed you to run the command php artisan make post controller with the resource. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to paste this code for this, and then I just explain. So let me just do that. So here I'll just copy this, which does the same thing. So I've not changed anything that you can understand. So what I'm doing here is that I'm using the app-less model post, that is the post model. Now we haven't created the post model so far, so I'm going to create it. And then here we also have a session. This session is for Flash. It's going to enable us, whenever a post is created, there is going to be a Flash message. So this is a class for that. Now when you look at the index, you can see here we have the post, and then we have the post model. We are ordering our post by ID and then descending and then get, and then we are returning this view, which is post. Remember, this is the view that we are returning, and then you are compacting the post so that there will not be undefined posts. And then now we also have the public function create. Now we are returning the view post create. Now remember, I've already done this. So we have the post, and then we have the create. So this one is going to return for us this particular blade template so that we can create our post. And then now this one, the post.store, the one I was just telling you about, when you look at the, that is where do we look at? Yeah. So here when you look at, we are routing to post.store. That means that within our controller here, this is the route we are coming to. So remember, the purpose of this section of validation is just to show you how to validate post anything in Laravel. So here we are validating the title and the body, and then we are placing it as being required. So you are required to give the title and the body. So you can't submit the form without inputting these two data. And then here, once it's successful, so what happens here is that the post will access the post model, and then within the database, the two elements, that is the title and the body, will be created. Then the content will be saved, and then as Flash message will be created. And then once that is done, we'll be redirected to post.index, which should be this one. This is the post.index. So I want you to take to, okay, let me save this one, and let me also save this one. So now I want you to take note of something here. If I run php artisan route list, so when I run this one, it's going to give, I want us to inspect the routes. Okay, there is an error, pages controller does not exist. Okay, so let's check. I think there's something I did with this one. Okay, so let me have this one like that. I think that's where the error is coming from. So when I run this command here, so post controller does not exist. So this is so it's trying to run this route resources. So what we can do here is that let's have this one like this, and okay, so let's see. So let me run route list again and see. Okay, so we are good to go. So so what was I trying to illustrate? So here you can check, you can now see the routes that you already have. We already have the post, where we have the, for example, we have the post, the create, the show, update, destroy, and edit. So all this, we already have them within the post controller like this. So for example, let me do something. So that means now, that means what we are doing here is that we want to, first I want us to create a post that will be submitted within our database here. But before we do that, we need to also create our model so that we can use it. So here we can run the command php artisan make should be make model post.php. I don't know if that command is correct. Okay, so we are good to go there. So here I'm seeing this okay, sorry, this should not have been so php artisan make model post, and then the model will be created. So here we have the model post. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to have something like this. So I'm going to have something like protected fillable, and then the title and body. So that means this is what will be registered in the database. So we are good to go with that. So that one is needed because we are accessing the post model here. And then yeah, so I think I've explained all these other things, and then the data will be submitted to the database and so forth. Now I did not enable these other functionalities like deleting a post, updating the post, but I've also done a blog using Laravel JStream, so you can go and check that. I've explained some of these things. And okay, so let's just run the PHP artisan serve, and let's see if all things are good. So what we can do here, let's try to access the let's see if this is there. So base table or view is not found. I don't know, it should be post or should be post. I think 8 of them. So this is not found. So we are returning the view. So this is the view we are returning. Should be. Now when you see something like that, what you can do here, you can also run this command php artisan route clear. Let's see if that could be. Let's run again. Let's check. Now if this is not there, let's try to check if we can create a post by accessing the create. So there's something within our routes we haven't implemented. So let me check within the web.php. So guys, when you inspect the routes, you find that we have post, and then post.index, post.store.create, and so forth. So I think my case, I was trying to access the post without the s. That's why it was bringing not found. But once you access it in the right way like this, you're able to find it and so forth. So this is what we are presented with. I think we should put a break somewhere. Let me access the user blade. Sorry, the user blade. This is the one. Yes. Sorry, not the user blade, but the app.blade. .php here. So let me give it a break like that. Let's see if this will work. Just to give a space from here. Okay, so now this is the what you are presented with. So you can create a post here. So this is the form. So this form is coming from the post create blade, which is the view, and here we can give, for example, the title of the post. So here we can have something like post 1, the body, something like post 1 content, something like that, and then we click create. So alright, so I don't know if I've run the migrations so far, but that means I may not have. So let me check that again. So we forgot to create the post table. So let me run this command. So this one, so php make migration create post table. So the table has been created, so I can access the table here. So like this, and then so this is now so this is the table that has been created. So let me just paste some code. So this is the code that we are using, which is very simple. So what we are doing here, we are looking at the ID of the post, the title, which we are saying should be unique, and then the body, and then a timestamp, which is normally created, and then we can save that. So that means here what I need to do is that I need to run this migration page. So php migrate. So that is done. So we have migrated that. So that's why we had the error coming out, whereby we did not have I did not have the migrations, the table created. So alright, so you can see now the post has been created successfully with our slash, that is our flash data message, and then the post ID, the title, and then the post content. We can also create another one, so whereby we can also have this as post 2, and then something like a post 2 content, like that, and then we click create. So this one we just create like that. Now where does the validation come in, since that was the main core? Now for example, if I give this one as post 3 and then I fail to give the body, I've been instructed to enter, so the form can't be submitted without I entering the body. As well, if I don't give the title, both of them will be displayed. Remember, we are looking at validation. So I think guys, this marks the end of our video tutorial. Now I might have rushed some parts, I think at the end of it, of these 2 last topics, but I also have a website here. I have a website here. The title of the website is webdevtrainee.com. So just access this website. I'll write this content here, that is the Laravel 9 concept, and then you can just come here and check in the tutorials, and then you'll be able to be presented with the types of the blog post I've written so far here. So you can just check this out, and then you are good to go. So if you are the reader guy, you can just come to this website and then explore it and check out some of these things I've written here, and then other interesting tutorials that I've already done, and which I also have the YouTube channel. For example, you can also check, let's say like this one, and other tutorials. So what you can do guys, just come and check this website, and I've explained everything in a very well detailed manner. Alright, so so we are done with this tutorial. You can comment, like this, like my YouTube channel, share it with your friends, any other Laravel developers out there, and let's meet in the next tutorial.